I'm highly spiritual. 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 Peace and love, friends and family. Welcome back to another episode of the Highly Emotional Podcast. Today I got a great guest coming on the chat with me. Optimistic Banks, right?
That's right. Yeah, you got it.
Welcome to the podcast, bro.
Thank you, bro. Glad to be here.
I love what you're doing. I listened to a little bit of your music, but I think what brought me in the most is the message, your spiritual awakening. You're speaking it to help others who are on the spiritual journey find the insight that they need to become that, stepping stone to project them into where they all need to be. And I align with that. First thing I want you to do is go ahead and introduce yourself.
Sure. So my name is Optimistic Banks. My first name is actually Banks, so that's where that name comes from. Um, I'm a mystic rapper, philosopher, healer, mystic guide, clairvoyant, all those fun things. And my thing is, I just like to um, help people realize that we're all God pretending not to be. And this is kind of how I have found the ability to just accept things for how they are and embrace people for their individuality, even if I don't agree with them.
I mean, that's dope. How did you figure out that you were clairvoyant?
It started actually, it's the first like psychic experience I had is when I was really high on drugs. And I heard, I had a clairaudient experience where I heard like the radio chatter of an airplane that flew over me. And it was like, we're coming into Burbank Airport. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? How am I hearing that? But then it was, when I would have clairvoyant experiences like visions, it would happen when I was making music and I'd fall asleep on the same 4 bar loop. And I didn't know it, but I was basically doing like binary beats. And I didn't even know that that's what I was doing. And I would fall asleep, and as I was falling asleep, I would get visions of the future or of like people who I would find out later were like someone's dead uncle or something like that. And it would start out as just flashes, as like I was kind of nodding, going to sleep through theta frequency into sleep. And so that's kind of how it started. And then dreams that would come true that were more vivid and things like that.
Yeah, that's crazy because I feel like most people who have those type of experiences, they become skeptic because that's kind of how I am with a lot of like my empathetic gifts. I feel like I'm super skeptic. I'm like, or when I'm manifesting something or just any things when it comes to like living at that quantum perspective, it's like I second guess a lot of my gifts. And so it's like, how did you feel in a sense of like, okay, I'm not making this shit up. I'm not going crazy. This is really what it is. And then presenting that to people because when you have gifts like this, it's kind of hard to say it in a room full of people who are closed off or who've never had this type of experience.
Yeah, it definitely was difficult for me at first to talk about it. Luckily, I had a mind-blowing clairvoyant experience with my brother, where we had a linked meditation experience where we saw like the same thing. It was like a 20-minute experience, totally sober. And in that experience, we saw my third eye. We traveled through wormholes. We saw our ancestral spirits. And so having that outside validation from him, like that he saw the same things I saw and experienced the same things I experienced, that definitely helped me open up a little bit. But really, what it came down to was me fully accepting that I may be crazy. I may be living in psychosis. I may be dead and this is heaven. I don't know, but I am fully accepting that this is a magical place now. So I just go with it. Fuck
Yeah,
it.
that's yeah, that's no, that's kind of one of the things that I think in my head too. I'm like, oh, I'm just crazy. Fuck it. You know what I'm saying? At
Fuck
some
it.
point, I have to realize that it's probably better to be crazy than to be like what they call normal because a lot of normal people are truly just NPCs. Like,
That's what I'm
I
saying.
hate
Like I
attacking
literally
people.
I literally just wrote a rhyme for my new album that goes, I'd rather be real and ridiculous than suppressed and respected for my ignorance.
Exactly. Exactly, because at that point, I feel like when it comes to NPCism, is what I'm calling it. NPCism is that it's a mind state of not questioning what's going on. Like, why is this way? Like, why is that? And I feel like that's kind of what we're in the need of now. Like, how old are you?
I'm 36. I'll be 37 on Monday.
Yeah, I'm 35, and I feel
Hmm.
like now, I feel like like today I was showing my kids how to do Chat GPT, and I was like, look, you don't have to use Chat GPT just for like to get regular answers. Like my kids are in elementary school. My son's like, well, I would use it to what's 100 times 10? And I was like, bro, there's so much more that you can ask this. Like you can ask it any of your questions. And he was like, yeah, why is a tree green? Why is I was like, yes, bro, like this is
Yeah.
like you don't understand. So then I started asking about the oceans. And I was like, what are like how many oceans are there? So I asked my son because I was like, bro, do you know how many oceans there are? And he was like, oh, maybe 4 or 5. Mind you, he's only 7. But I'm still like, do you ever like wonder this stuff? So he's like, oh yeah, there's 4 or 5. And I'm like, do you know? So then I asked my daughter who's 5, and she's like, oh, there's 25. And then my wife, she's like, I think there's like 6, maybe 8, right? And I was like, all right, well, this is what Chat GPT is for. Like you wanna gain the knowledge. This is where it's at. But at 35 years old, I find myself like a child for information. I'm like, let me ask a question. Let me what the fuck? Like, why are books shaped like this? Who created the first book? Who created this shape? So on and so forth. Like all these things,
Yes.
I ask questions, and that's kind of where we're at. And what they say is like the new earth, but like spirituality, it's like it's a new level of understanding your life that you're experiencing. And
Yeah.
so when we're in this age of 35, 36, it's kind of like you're like a kid again. It's like, oh, what
Yes.
what is that? What is this? What is that? You know what I'm saying? So I'm a skeptic when it comes to everything now though. So
Yeah, and I think that you're coming more from a loving skeptic than you are from like a fuck you skeptic. Because it's like as we awaken, there's a lot of gurus who have said throughout time that like the process of enlightenment is essentially the process of becoming more innocent, even with all the shit that you've picked up along the way. So like the good and the bad, the wisdom and the stuff that you got to let go of, it's like becoming more innocent, more like a child again, more like, oh yeah, how perfect it all is. And even in the way where like everything has to have its balance, so like people who are closed minded, it serves a purpose because without these closed minds and the finite vision of them, we wouldn't be able to go deep into science, deep into medicine, deep into astrology, all these kind of things, right? So we need the balance of having those that are a little closed minded that focus on one thing to really become expert in that field so
mm-hmm,
that
mm-hmm.
God the all can
Yep.
have that perspective, while
Yep.
at the same time we need people like us, we need anarchy, we need alternative, we need graffiti, we need people that say fuck you to the system, and it's like this perfect kind of push and pull that holds it all together and gives God the divine, the all, however you want to look at it, source. It gives it all the different perspectives, which it's trying to do. This is a game. It's trying to play out
Conform.
all infinite scenarios.
There you go. Yeah, at that point, I was gonna say because when you're talking about God, I have a very very beautiful experience and relationship with God. But how did you feel when you realized that God wasn't a white man in the clouds with a beard and hair like yours, and you know what I'm saying? Like, how did you feel like that or feel about
So
that?
my introduction to that God was in high school because I had to go to a Lutheran like Christian high school. And immediately when I got introduced to that whole thing, I recognized that like, the Bible was cool and it was dope and it had some really great stories in it. But there was always something about me where I was like, I don't feel right about having to like worship this thing like in a fear-based way.
Hmm.
And I also feel strange that like this one person Jesus is like almost like more special than me and more special than anyone. Like I've just never felt that anybody was more special than anybody. So like I don't believe that God can be personified,
Yeah.
but if it had to be, it would certainly be me. and you and the tree and
It would
whatever,
have,
right?
yeah, yeah.
It's so and I think that the there are harbingers of good and evil, but that it's all one thing pretending to be different things, and that one thing is what I call God.
Yeah, it serves its purpose. Yeah, that it was mind blown. With when it came to me to all this experience, and I was like, yeah, God is this. And then when it was church, it was like growing up in church and stuff like that. It was the fact is I had a lot of questions, and I feel like people couldn't give me the answer. Like one of the things that I say now is like, so Jesus was a man, right? Jesus was a man. He wore a dress. Chances are that dress that he wore, this is extremism that I'm saying. Chances are that dress that he wore, he ain't have no boxers underneath that motherfucker, right? So then he had all these shorties. I'm using cultural terms. He had
Yeah,
all
yeah,
these
yeah.
shorties, big booty shorties, petite shorties, thick shorties, brown hair, long hair, short. He had all these shorties. Oh my God,
Hmm.
Jesus, you walking on water. You gonna tell me some baddies didn't think that shit was cool? So he had
Yeah.
all these shorties, right? And you gonna tell me that his manhood wasn't jumping around like, yo, shorty over there, she got that pressure. Like, so you're gonna tell me, and this was my issue is that, so you're gonna tell me this man was this perfect, and if so, okay, so be it. This man was this perfect that he ain't have no wife, he ain't had no baby mamas, he ain't have no little shorties telling him, yo, Jesus is so toxic, he be breaking my heart. You gonna tell me that didn't happen? At that point, I would have to say, right, either this man didn't have no penis or he just was not into women.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is that it makes me question when I would hear people tell me the story about Jesus, and I would say, okay, what is the moral of the story? And the more that I got into my 30s and I started asking questions, I started to realize that Jesus is similar to Kakarot, right? Jesus is similar to Superman. Jesus is similar to Buddha. And when you
Yeah.
truly look at the story, what it is this person just was trying to be a great, good, loving person.
Yeah,
And
and his
so it's
truest
so hard
version.
to experience that as human beings. And I feel that we glorify just that one being,
Yeah.
right? But when you get the moral of the story, just like us as kids, when we used to watch DBZ and Naruto and all these other things, right? We would be influenced, and you would sit there in front of the mirror like Goku and right.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
when you hear the story of Jesus, what you want to do is you want to be inspired and say, okay, I want to be so good to my experience, to the world around me, to me, because we're all one, to your
Mm.
divineness, right? I want to be so good that my experience can be all divine love. And that's kind of the thing that we have to focus on that we don't focus on. So that transition into understanding all religion can be complicated for a vast majority of us.
Yeah, so there's a few things there. I mean, like, I think that um I think that when okay, so like when I woke up, I knew in my heart of hearts that I wouldn't be able to find the original divine understandings of things in religion. I knew that I would have to turn to
I finally got
n-
my sound right, so now I can hear you. Thank you.
okay, cool. Yeah, I always knew that I would when I awakened and I realized that everybody was me. First of all, I recognized that Jesus, superstars, Buddha, whatever, whenever we look at somebody and we're like, "Oh my god, you're so amazing." What we're essentially doing is worshiping ourselves, our highest potential in a way, right? So that was the first thing that I recognized, but also I knew that I would not be able to find for me the divine original understandings of things through the books of religion. I knew that I would have to go to like the original, like, what is nature saying to us? So that's when I dove deeper into, what do numbers really symbolize? What do colors really symbolize? What do shapes, sacred geometry, what do these things symbolize? What do they manifest from? Why? And so understanding kind of these simple things, the elements and what they represent, numbers, shapes, colors, animals, and understanding the holographic nature of the universe really helped me put it all into perspective. And so now, when I read something like the Bible or a Hermetic text or Egyptian or Buddhist or whatever, I see that they're all saying the exact same thing. It's just being spun out in fractals. It's the same but different, which is the holographic nature. It's the same thing like when we have a child, it is the same as me, but it's different. And so everything is doing that. All the religions are fractals of the same ideas, essentially. And that we're all one. And if we look to nature and understand the simple understandings of these things that I just described, you will see that the world and the universe is constantly speaking to you.
Yeah, at all times. It's a hard experience to understand, but when you start working on it, when you maintain that relationship of you and God, which is the ether or all, however you want to mix it, right? When you start understanding that and you work on that relationship, then you start receiving the messages even more. And that kind of taught me that, like, I haven't, so I seen your DMT clip, and I was like, I haven't had that experience, but I've had an experience in which I realized that life matters, why it doesn't matter, because it's all matter. Like let's be real,
Yes.
everything is super metaphorically, right?
Yes.
I'm an
It is a
experience
metaphor.
I'm an experience inside of the experience, experiencing the experience,
Yes.
right? Like, it's so fucking crazy. But when you can stop caring, like literally just let go and just live life like a fucking roller coaster, when you finally let go and just accept, that's all it is. It's just acceptance and experience, right? So when you do that, you can live life consistently at in the moment. And it's
Yes.
so beautiful because it's like you're manifesting. I like, so my recording process, right? When I record, I don't write lyrics. I do everything from my
Me
mind
too.
directly into the microphone, and I do it bar for bar.
That's
Some
exactly how I record as well.
sometimes I'll do five of the same line and say it 15 different times, or 30 different times, and then I'll pick that one and move it. What I'm doing with my life is I'm doing the same thing directly from my soul into the matrix, and I'm
Mhm.
manipulating it as I go. So if
Yes.
something comes into my reality that's giving me low vibrational energy, I say, I let my spirit kind of like give it existence, like, oh, I can acknowledge that, or I can say, that shit, it's like hearing a bad bar, like, nah, that's not it, let me go to the next
Yeah.
one, let me delete that. So in the matrix, in my experience, every single second, I'm, hey, I don't like that. Let me do
Mhm.
it's like I'm rewriting it, doing it, and
Yes.
controlling it every second. And every second that I'm doing that is an opportunity to really grab onto that and format it into a sense of where I can live in bliss, bro. So it's like I can say something. So in it, like, let's say I'm coming up with a bar in a song and it's a low vibrational bar. Got the 40 on me, blow his brains out. Because sometimes you have to give attention to your shadow, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
so at that point, when something is happening low vibrationally in my matrix, in my construct, in my reality, what I do is I try to enjoy it because I know that there's something there in which I can really have gratitude for the experience. So let's say I'm getting in an argument with this guy. I'll sit back and I'll be like, okay, what can I take away from that and apply it to my reality, in which can push me to the next level? Because even if you have a low vibrational bar in a song, it still can come out as a great fucking song, right? So I can talk about my depression, I could talk about this, but then I could switch it and be like, I could switch it and say something like how can I say it, like trendy, like diamonds on my teeth, so they listen when I speak, right? Or they pay attention when I speak, or they see it when I speak. These type of things, right? But then I could talk about my connection with God in the next bar. Because even though I have diamonds in my teeth and now they see it when I speak, right? I could talk about my connection to the divine source in my next bar. Walking on water, they thought I was Jesus, right? I could say stuff like that because that's how you control the narrative of the song. So same thing with your reality. You can take a low vibrational situation and take positive from it and then apply it, because once you stop caring, this is, I'm bringing it back, hopefully I didn't lose you. Once you stop caring, you can just experience it and enjoy every single moment, because those low vibrational situations will push you into that big high vibrational or gratitude experience.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm totally picking up what you're saying. That is literally exactly how I record music. And that is how I live my life, kind of in a freestyle kind of a way. And what I've learned through music is that, there's certain times when you're making a song where you're frustrated, or maybe the ideas aren't flowing, or you don't know how it's going to end, but you do know through your experience that the song's going to be fucking dope no matter what.
It's
Right.
me.
So it's like, I don't know exactly how, every situation is going to go because I'm kind of freestyling it, but I know based on my prior experience that this chapter or whatever this thing is going to end dope as fuck.
And it's me. And I tell people this is why, like, I don't pray anymore, right? Because some people, they pray, some people they just talk to God. But I tell people I stopped praying because it goes back to that song structure. I already know that it's gonna come out great because, hey, God is with me. I'm one with God. I'm one with
Hmm.
the Creator. I'm one with the Most High. I'm one with the universe. I'm one with the Matrix, whatever you want to call it, right? I'm one with it. So therefore, I already know that it's working in my favor. So I don't need to sit here and focus on just this one line, this one bar, because at the end of the day, the song is gonna be banging, and there
Yeah.
ain't nothing you could tell me. So same thing with my experiences. It don't matter what this situation is, because at the end of the day, when you go and read back my story and you see my depression, then you go and you see the birth of my children, then you see how I became more intelligently, then you see where I went to the gym, then you see where me and my wife hit 10 years on our marriage. When you go back, you would just see that those situations, those one bars, those one low vibrational situations, hey, they just pushed me into that positive direction because they had
Yeah.
to coexist. And that will show you that my movie, my song, my story, hey, was the motherfucking shit.
Yeah, man. It reminds me of when I was really young. One of my best friends who was like really into conscious hip hop with me, he used to tell me, what I realize is that it's not about the words that rhyme, it's about the words in between that really make a song dope. And it was like, I think that, like, those rhymes are like almost like the flashes, like, it's the thing that keep us interested, but it's like, it's that in between stuff that really is the content. So I always thought that was really interesting from a true hip hop head to think that.
Yeah, it's dope, bro. I just think that when it comes to, and this has been kind of my theory on the show, is like when it comes to the spiritual community, the only issue I have is people push spiritual propaganda and only peace, love, and light. It's not peace and fucking light. I tell you that. You think that it's peace and fucking light, you're gonna have a lot of people taking advantage of you because
Oh yeah.
you're gonna be too caught up in gratitude. Oh, peace and love, brother. Yes. And then, next thing you know, they're taking advantage of your peace and love experience. And I realized that not enough people talk about having to use the shadow in everyday situations. You have to use your shadow. You have to address your shadow. You have to be one with your shadow, just like Buddhism. You have to be one because
Yes.
they have to create the balance in your universe.
Well, and that's the thing is that like people don't have a quite a grip on the duality of this universe that like everything must have its opposite, its antithesis. So it's like the more you walk in the light and the more you create more of that light, the more that you're actually creating more darkness on the other side. It has to have its antithesis. So it's like everything is everything. It's like they say in hip hop, everything's everything, right? It just is. So it's better to accept it when you realize that, everybody is God and there's infinite timelines and infinite realities. Who am I to tell another version of me, another version of God, that the reality that they resonate with most isn't true, when the fact of it all is that everything's a fucking illusion and we're all just one thing pretending to be different things. So that's how I accept that, like, I try to just with my hologram that I'm projecting, I want to project love and compassion and understanding. But I also say no and I create boundaries and I say I'm not going to allow this energy in my life. And for some people, they're like, "Oh my God, that's so terrible. You got to love everybody." And it's like, nah, because guess what? Like the devil is also God. Like it's all roles are being played out.
Fucking right. I mean, I tell people all the time that you really want to believe in the devil. The devil is you. We
Yeah.
we are our own devil. When I used to be depressed, bro, I used to be so dependent on my depression, and I used to be like when I would talk to like my mom or something like that, the devil is attacking you. No, it's me, motherfucker. I'm out here dealing with these toxic women. I'm out here popping perks and
Yeah,
fucking chewing
you allowed
Zans.
it in.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
that's me.
they say with vampires, you have to allow them in your house. You have to like they have to knock on the door and be like, "Can I come in?" before they come in. You allowed in vampires, dog. So you're gonna have to exercise them.
Yeah, so how do you when it comes to you, how do you integrate your shadow in your everyday life now that you're aware, now that you are conscious? Because I feel like most of us are on autopilot, but even if you are on autopilot in spiritual essence, um I feel like you still have to hold yourself accountable for your shadow in your light.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, definitely the music helps me a lot with my shadow work and just like fully expressing it that way. And on the mysticism side of things, there's a lot of darkness. There's a lot, and darkness is, let's say, the unknown. And so I feel comfortable in the unknown magical mystics of the universe. And I feel it took me a long time. I was a big pussy my whole life. And then I had a near death experience, and it was like, there's literally nothing to fear. So that's another way that I kind of express my shadow is like, I like, doing like UFO hunting, and I don't mind, speaking with ghosts, and I don't mind learning some plant witchery, and I don't mind, little things like that that are almost like, just little nuggets of kind of going deeper and deeper into the unknown to kind of let that shadow kind of like fly, really, really be immersed in that.
Yeah, the more that I get on like my epic spiritual journey, uh, the more I get on that shit, the more I'm willing to pick up whatever occultism, fucking the cabal, uh
Yep.
Christianity, Islam, Buddhism. I'm willing to pick it all up because what I'm doing is I'm adding spiritual powers to my avatar, and this motherfucker, he's becoming well versed. I didn't put him in the
Yeah.
gym. I didn't put him back in the studio, so I'm back recording. I didn't put him on the vegan shit. I didn't put him onto occultism. I didn't put him onto UFOs and extraterrestrials and plasmoids and
Yeah.
Anunnaki. I didn't dabbled in a little bit. So when it
Yeah.
comes now to my avatar, bro, I'm on a level of where it's like, all right, bro, wish like how you want me to be. And then not only that, because I play video games, I play like 2K and Fortnite, but I realize also I can enter my shadow in there. So, somebody get in there, start talking crazy. I'd be like, yo, your fire alarm beeping. You need to take your money and invest it in your life. Now that sounds so extreme because my light is like, yo, bro, chill, bro. You being too hard, right? But then what it does is somebody will say something, bro, my fire alarm beeping only because this, and that. Oh, your daddy wasn't in your life, huh? That's why your fire alarm beeping. And then bro's mad. He's like, what you mean by that? Man, my daddy wasn't in my life. Your dad wasn't in your life either. Yeah, bro, my dad wasn't in my life. But look at us. We over here arguing with other men. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
like people don't understand that when I do insert my shadow, it's an opportunity to insert a lesson so I can teach somebody because
It
like
always is. Even when you're not doing it intentionally, it always is.
yo, it's always an opportunity, but it's not even just for me to teach a lesson. It's also an opportunity for me to learn a lesson because I read books, and the four agreements is to always do your best. So anytime that I do fuck up and do too much with my shadow, because I say some crazy shit. Hey nigga, you not gonna make it to GTA next year. Now I don't like this about myself. So when I sit here and get off the game, I'm like, yo, hey, Mr. Shadow, bro, you gotta chill, bro. It's time to get off the game for the day. And that is the accountability that we need because that helps with childhood trauma.
Yeah.
That helps you with that shadow work because when you can address, all right, yeah, I've been doing too much. I need to chill on the shadow today. It's not about being peace, love, and light and always being positive. It's about being conscious of all of your decisions that you're making and questioning why are you making these decisions.
Yeah, and I always like I don't have any children, but my brother has a son, so I have a nephew who's like 5.5 years old. And he's of the perfect age of just my awakening, my brother's awakening, of us realizing that, like, what's so important is to teach our children not how to not climb on trees or how to not be mischievous, but we need to teach them how to properly fall. And that's shadow work in a sense, right? The fall. And it's like, so if you're learning physically, not like, don't do that, don't do that, don't be yourself, don't do that, but just when you do it, here's how you properly fall. Then that transfers over to real life situations when they're going through a life changing event. It'll teach them how to metaphorically, emotionally, mentally fall, right? So these are the type of things instead of like, no, 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 don't do these things. No, do it, but let me show you how to properly fall.
For sure. I mean, shit. We did a lot of that stuff, and here we are, 35 and 36, and we've learned. We've done drugs. We've done shit that we right now I wouldn't agree with. Right now I wouldn't want to do those things, and I think that when you can provide those around you, not just your children, but anyone that is observing you from the quantum standing point, when they can observe you, it's whether they can learn a lesson from either your mistakes or the things that you're doing well. And that right there is what you kind of want to maintain for yourself, is you want to maintain that if someone is observing you, they can have the opportunity in which they can grow. But not only that, if you observe other people, because you have to be in a state of openness, oneness, to observe other people and say, oh shit, I can learn from this situation. All of those situations in which I find myself trapped in that low vibrational state, there's something that I always learn. Okay, well, I'm not the only person who had the daddy issues. This guy who is screaming like a single independent woman, well, I'm doing that too, because I'm going back at it, because the mask that you wear is only the mask that I placed upon you based upon the mask that I'm wearing myself.
Yeah.
So at that
Yeah.
point, what
Well,
you
I was
about to
just gonna
say?
say, yeah, I mean, just that, like, it's part the awakening process is like a double-edged sword, right? It's like the more aware, right? So it's like I'm at a point in my life now where I can't help but see the wounding in people. And, you know, that might be my boss. And that might make me, you know, decide I can't be a part of, this society or this job or whatever or this family because now I'm seeing the wounding. So there's like it's a good and a bad thing. It's like I'm becoming super aware of it, but but so it's like it's almost a challenge, right? So like the more aware you become, and then you understand that like your intentions and your actions are literally creating your reality. Then you have it's this is where we get into the hero's journey of taking a leap of faith and saying, I'm not going to shrink myself or dim my light to fit into a sick society. And that only happens after you become aware.
Yeah, it's hard. It's super hard to be in a society, because then you start questioning, like, is this beneficial for me? Like, should I really be tolerating this shit? I mean, I think that comes with everyone. It doesn't just come with like coworkers, but that even goes with family members. Sometimes
Yes.
I have to be conscious of the energy that I give people, because I'm not gonna let no shit that you can afford compromise me, because that's all it is. Everything is literally spiritual dodgeball or beanbag toss, right? Or hot potato.
Projection
It,
and
that's all it
reflection.
is. And so
Yeah.
if I take on your projection, then that becomes my reflection, because now I'm open to it. And that's what people don't understand about spirituality, is that if, like, have you ever do you read a lot of books?
I don't read a lot of books. Most of the stuff that I've learned has just come, like I said, from kind of learning like the primordial knowledge of things.
Mm,
Um, but like, yeah, I mean, there's a few books that I have written and I'm sorry that I have read, and I come from a world of sales. That's why I was like a sales guru for a long time.
mm,
So like, what actually introduced me kind of like by accident to spirituality was the book The Secret, and then Think and Grow Rich. And
yep.
I was like, oh, this like there's like spiritual stuff in here. This is weird. But yeah,
Yeah, that's
so I
crazy.
read a few books here and there, but I like my stuff to kind of come from within.
Yeah, so in the Celestine Prophecy, it's this great book. It's called the Celestine Prophecy. They had talked about how energy pretty much wants to compromise other energy. So energetically, two people will have a conversation, and one of the energies uh is pretty much wanting to take over the other one. So like you'll if you observe two people arguing, one person who has the higher energy or the stronger energy is literally trying to compromise this person who's at a lower state. So let's say like somebody who's and let's say like road rage, somebody gets out the car, the guy gets out the car, he comes and screams at this dude, you did that, right? That energy that he has, that low vibrational energy, is in search of compromising this energy. But if that energy is met with this energy, well, what you mean, motherfucker? Pulls out this big ass Glock, big ass Draco, right? What you mean you knocking on my window, right? Let's just say energetically. That energy that pulled out the weapon, pulled out the gun, now compromises this other energy, and therefore this energy that compromised the original energy now feels superior and greater. And that's kind of what life actually does. It's a constant search for compromising energy, kind of like what they say about men wanting to or conquer a woman or conquer something, anything along those lines. So energetically, that's all that's happening at a consistent rate throughout life,
Yeah,
politics, sports,
yeah.
so on and so forth.
It's interesting because on a science level, energy is always going to electricity is going to seek out higher pressure systems. So it's kind of interesting when we think about it in that way, where it's like the natural way would be to create an environment for that energy or that electricity to actually find a higher pressure relief. Like, so I guess, like you're saying, one energy bigger than the other, and like, but this is again how it's kind of like the snake eating its tail type of a thing,
Mm-hmm.
when really like all we need to do is kind of be a steward of that and recognize what it is, because someone yelled at him that made him yell at me, that made me yell at someone, and just like, so it's
Yep.
gotta, you got to be the one that kind of says like, okay, it stops with me,
Fuck
but you
yeah.
don't want to harm yourself by just absorbing and being an empath, and just because, so that's why we do things like art and music and things like that. That's how we take it from inside and make something great with it again.
That's how you break generational curses. That
Yes.
that right there is because when you become aware of that energy, somebody has to be the person to say, "Hey, this shit stops with me." And that's when you become in a sense like, bro,
The
you
chosen
become,
one.
yeah, you're like,
Yeah.
motherfucker, like come on, bring this all the energy you got. Well, it's going to
Yes.
stop with me. Let me take this negative energy, put it in a
Yeah.
positive place, and then it can transform, or in a sense you do alchemy, and therefore it becomes magical. I was gonna say, what's your perspective on mysticism in science? So because I feel like based upon even what you said, you see how science and spirituality are literally, they're married. They're just,
Yeah.
science is more like the example. Like, here, let me show you on how it works. But I want to hear your take
Yeah.
on it.
So again, we need both, but like, let's look at it, philosophical versus science as like, so in a way, like every time science proves something, the philosopher, the mystic goes, duh, we've known this for a long time. But so it's almost interesting where, scientists tend to the establishment of scientists tend to get a little pissed off at philosophers. But it's an interesting mirror, because the scientists are only going to go at what they believe is objectively observable and provable. So in a way, they're almost afraid to dive into the unknown paradoxical nature of reality, which is where the philosopher loves to be. So again, they definitely work hand in hand. And I love, again, when I this primordial divine knowledge of simple things like colors and numbers and shapes, and then when you see these discoveries that science makes, it just feels so good for me as a mystic and as a philosopher, that we help one another. It confirms, and then also now I can take it from this definitive, observable reality. Now I can say, okay, what else? What next? What new? Which is just a different mind, because all of science and all of technology essentially gets manifested from ideas and art. So like we all need each other.
It has to be a marriage at
Yeah.
that point. I mean, everything is. in a sense, you know, sex, believe it or
Yeah.
not. I mean, this fucking microphone in this space is
It's
the
all want
penis of the
something go
womb.
inside of
Yeah.
the other thing. Yeah,
That's all
absolutely.
it is. It's just a divine connection. What is your theory on like extraterrestrials and multidimensional beings, bro? That's what I really want to talk about
For
because I
sure.
I have a great I have a great perspective on it, and I have a story to share with you. But no, go
Oh,
ahead.
dope. Yeah. I mean, one of my best friends is an ET soul in a human body. So, that's where I'm at. I definitely was more into ancient aliens and stuff growing up than any type of spirituality. I didn't think that there was any connection whatsoever. When I woke up and I realized that it was like a consciousness thing, then it all clicked for me. And I was like, oh my God, this is like, whether we look at it like future versions of ourselves, higher versions of ourselves, um, when you awaken to understanding that there are infinite dimensions and like we're all part of the structure of it, then a lot of it makes a lot of sense for me. And I look at it like future versions of ourselves, um also like higher versions of ourselves, and just like how when we study, marine life or something like that, some of us really care about them and love them and want to nurture them. Some of us use it for food and to eat. Some of us use it for recreation, and some of us like literally don't care at all. And I believe that that's kind of how it is with them as well with us. And and we can disguise ourselves as like whales or fish. That like to the human we'd be like, well, obviously they're wearing a costume, but to a fish they'd be like, oh my God, it looked like us. And I think that they have some type of technology or something too, where they can appear like us and these kind of things as well.
Yeah, that's a crazy way to see it. And it's super dope that you say your best friend is the extraterrestrial spirit in a
Oh
human
yeah.
body. Yo, we definitely got to connect with him too cuz
Oh yeah, for
that's
sure.
dope. That sounds like some Bashar channeling type of vibes.
Yeah, no, he's amazing. When I was losing my mind, I got introduced to him, and he like kind of like unraveled me and put me back together and just poured in so much more information, and it it really helped me on my journey.
Yeah, we gotta link. I gotta come see y'all
Oh
because
yeah, for sure.
that'd be dope. I'm definitely interested in stuff like that. Like I said, I'm at the point where I'm seeking information, but not only that, I'm open to every single thing. I don't give a fuck what it is because at this point, where I am as the divine spirit or sacred source or God, whatever you want to call it, the experience. I am here to listen and experience everything because all I'm doing is increasing my data and my knowledge, my experience, my information. I'm literally growing. So I'm open to hearing everything. I don't really like with me, nothing is set in stone until I experience. So therefore I'm
Me
just gonna
too.
listen to it. It's like I believe in all religions, but at the same time I believe in none.
Yeah,
That's just how it is for me. I believe
that is
everything is the
very
truth.
wise of you to say
Yeah,
that.
yeah, it's like you could tell me something, but at the end of the day, I still believe that you're gonna lie, and I have to experience it myself. But I understand that it could be true, and it's most likely true, even though it
Yeah.
most likely may be a lie too.
It's
That's
well,
just
it's
where I'm
both.
at.
It
Yeah,
must be. It's both.
it's
It's like
always a
that's the yin
lie.
and the yang of it. It's from the experiencer. It is the truth. From someone else, it is absolutely false, and both are true and false at the same time. Because the fact that you fucking exist is a paradox.
That's the truth. Nah, so I had this experience last year with my wife. We had left our house and I went to go throw some in the trash and we were going to the store and I had looked on the side of my house and I was like, "Yo, the moon looked weird." And she came over and she was like, "Yeah, it looks weird. It looks like it looks like it's getting smaller." So then I walked back over to look at the moon. Bro, the moon literally was like this and then it just disappeared, bro.
Whoa.
It was orange. It was kind of this. The color is this, but it disappeared, bro, and then it popped up on a whole different side. Now listen, bro. This is fucking crazy. When I tell you, like me saying this out loud to people, and I've said it a couple times, it still sounds crazy to me. I'm still a skeptic, but bro, when I tell you I've never seen anything like that. The only thing that I experience now is like when I look to the sky, it kind of looks like a TV with all the lines through it. Like that's how it looks to me with all the colors and rainbows. Like that's how the sky looks to me. But this experience, of the fucking moon disappearing, bro, even to today, like to right now in this moment, I be trying to like tell myself like, no, bro, this didn't happen. But I promise you, like it when it comes to the Matrix, now that I'm awake, weird fucking things happen, and I don't know if other people experience. Like, have you ever
Well,
experienced
but I
anything
mean, they
like
do
that?
and they don't. That's the beautiful part about it is like we're all gaining this information to send back to source, right? So like it all has to be infinitely different, but still we're all agreeing to be in the same reality, the same well, not the same reality, same timelines, let's say. But like this is when we discover it's all a projection of consciousness, bro. Like right now we are in a state of hallucination, but we're only experiencing about 5% of it.
Mm,
When we do psychedelics, our brain lights up to 99%. That's the real reality. Do you see what I'm saying? So
mm,
when you become more conscious, you're lighting up more of your antenna. You're becoming more aware of all the different layers of reality. And there's also something mystical in that because the moon represents the divine feminine. So I would be guessing that something in your life has happened where a motherly figure, a feminine figure, a lover was there, then disappeared, then reappeared.
mm. Now I
It
have
could
to.
also be your own divine feminine within yourself, which is like, your receivership and your nurturing and your inspiration.
That's no, that's deep. Now I have a lot of questions because I have to sit with that and I have to analyze it and I have to seek for that. Like, yeah, it was so fucking weird, bro. Like it was that, and then like if I like now when I if I'm looking down, like let's say I'm driving on the road, if I'm looking down, I swear to you not, bro. This is where the conversation gets weird. But when I look at my peripheral to the clouds, I see ships, bro. It's weird. Like I don't know if people experience this, and it's kind of hard to talk about it with people because like when it comes to like the extraterrestrial thing, when you see the mass marketed media, you see that they'll talk about it, but then they scrape it under the rug by introducing something to the NPCs like the Diddy case. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, again, you have unpeeled. We all have different like different ways of seeing reality, and you're unpeeling more and more. And things like fluoride and things like TV and things like bad food like do keep us in this 5% state of just seeing shit how everybody else sees it. But I will tell you that one of my best friends and one of my favorite rapper homies, King Phil, he's in Indiana. He told me that when he looks up at the sky, most of the time he sees like jellyfish kind of things. So
Mm.
everybody's seeing different things throughout the firmament or however you want to look at it. There's some type of it's a projection of consciousness, bro, and we're all tapping into different layers of the infinite ways to perceive it.
Yeah, it's super understanding. What's your perspective on the whole flat Earth, round Earth, whatever type of?
I think that the Earth cannot be observed objectively. I don't think anything can be observed objectively. So I think that that's where we get a lot of the controversy. And I think that obviously there's a lot of evidence that does point to this being a globe, and there's like scientific evidence. And but then there's just a lot of strange stuff with the flat Earth stuff that makes us realize that essentially nothing is what it seems. And that's the whole point of this whole thing. Like, when you look at a can of soda, is it a metal can? No, it's soda, right? It's like nothing's actually what it seems. Like everything's packaged in these things. So I think the earth cannot be observed objectively. I think for sure what it is a wavelength of information.
Yeah, it's definitely a tricky question because I think that it's either both or none. Like back to what I
Yeah.
said, because I've said it before is like you in my perspective on it, right, is like when it comes to Earth, you don't live on it because out it or on it would be here, right? So if you're flying in it or you're living on it and you're on a flat surface, you're in it because when you
Mhm.
look at the atmosphere, right? Atmosphere because it's the sphere shape of the atmosphere, right? I'm just throwing that out there. That's my whole little
Love
theory.
it.
But when you view it, right, from outside, we don't live on the sphere part of it. We live within it. So therefore, what makes it appear as a sphere is the atmosphere. Does that make
Yes,
sense?
it
So so
does.
so at that point, we're living in an experience in which our three-dimensional realm is flat. Everything that we experience is flat. The walls is flat. The bookshelf is flat. This is
Yeah.
flat. My floor is flat. This laptop that I'm on, they're all flat surfaces. So at that point, we're experiencing our life that way from a flat perspective. In order to view it from the sphere like perspective, we would have to live on it. And there's no way in which are we yeah, and there's no way in which we can live on the sphere part of the planet, because therefore we live pretty much in the sense of in it.
Yeah,
Does that
I
make
think
sense?
in my own perspective, I think that like we as humans are essentially a toroidal field, and I think that the Earth is some form of that, where like it's almost like a donut shape kind of a thing, like a hole at the top and the hole at the bottom, and it's like this constant kind of flowing of frequencies.
I
And
like
that's
that.
also how I believe that time works. That there are like infinite past timelines and infinite future timelines, but that we can think of it kind of like a donut shape and the whole being the now. So everything that is possible from the past and the future is funneling into this place that we call the infinite now, which is why we get a lot of contradictory history like the Mandela effect and all that kind of stuff. And I do believe that as they funnel into the now, you as the observer, as the center of your universe, based on past lives and what you resonate with and all this kind of stuff, you're deciding basically which timeline you resonate with the most.
Yeah, because I mean, it goes back. It goes back to like quantum leaping and whatnot. Is like what you in manifestation is what you tune your frequency is, and which is in which reality you live in. So
Yeah.
if I tune my frequency to the news and fucking social media, low vibrational posts on social media, if I tune my frequency into these worldly frequency, this worldly radio station, therefore I'm going to live within that world.
and
Therefore,
and that's what they want you to do, the harbingers that are in charge of those timelines, right? They want to keep you down in that so they can kind of keep their power. Again, this is all for fun. I mean, we're all just one. This is all just a game. But everybody's doing their job. But that's why I always tell people, like, if you're open to all these different timelines of like World War III and like, terrible things happening and nuclear war and all that, it's like you're gonna line up with that, bro. But if you believe that you're going to go into the new earth and you act on your true intentions to be part of that, be part of the building crew and the ones that experience it, then that is what you're going to go into. That's it.
yeah, you have to tune your frequency into where you want to be. You want to
Yep.
be in love and light. You want to be in abundance. You want to manifest success. You want to manifest this life, this good life, this loving life. Then you have to live in that type of mind state. But it is okay to do both, because to tap into that low vibrational state, you could say, hey, okay, let me gain awareness and let me not live here. So therefore I know what the opposite is, and
Yeah.
therefore I know not to live like that but to live like this. What's your take on the new world?
Yeah, I think that the new world is a state within the mind, and I essentially think that this universe is the mind experiencing the body, so that it all comes down to the observer, and that like we have to build this community. We have to envision a better way. We don't have to know every little piece to make it happen, because that's the beautiful thing about this earth is that we've all populated to kind of help each other. So like, I all I have to do is imagine a better way, and all of a sudden the different pieces of me are going to start making it happen, so I can have more clear vision of how much better it can be, how much better it can be, which is why I'm also a big believer in that, like, um you really don't have to awaken anybody else. You really just have to awaken yourself, because they're all you. They're all different reflections of you. So as you awaken yourself, you're going to be in a new timeline where everybody's more reflective of this current state of you. Now, again, everything has to have its antithesis. So you're still going to have your enemies. But the more you become the truest version of yourself, which is what we're all on this journey to do, um, the easier it becomes.
Yeah, I mean that's a great way to do it. I think that we are building the train tracks or the foundation for something that is already happening, something that is already moving in, or the world is moving towards, is the sense of living in peace and positivity. And I think that is easy because a lot of people act like it's super hard to find heaven on earth, but it's truly not. It's all about you being conscious of the decisions that you're making so that you can experience. Because this book I'm reading by Joe Dispenza is
Is it becoming supernatural?
becoming supernatural. when you
Love that book.
when
Yeah.
you live in when you live in a low vibrational state, or you live in your trauma, well, that presents within your reality. So now you're living in this cycle, this loop of constantly living in your trauma, and then that affects scientifically your body, your mind, because everything that you're experiencing is within your mind. Even though it's happening outside of you, your mind is what dictates on how you experience that experience within your experience.
Absolutely, man. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful world, and I think that the new Earth to me is just it's just us finally discovering that like we don't need to fucking harm each other. We don't need to kill each other. We don't. There can be acceptance. There can be diversity within unity. It's just like, and it's so obvious that it's possible. And I remember being a little kid and asking my dad, like, why don't we go to outer space more? Why don't we go to Mars? Why don't we go to the moon? And he was like, well, because it's too expensive. And I remember just being like, as a little kid, just like, that makes no fucking sense to me. That like, that's why we can't do it because it's too expensive. Why do we do it? It's like, well, these people have more money and these people have less. We'll take some of theirs and give it to them. Well, we can't because it'll fuck up the economy. Well, just say it doesn't. Like we fucking know, like this is all fucking bullshit, man. It's all an illusion.
Do you feel like a kid now? I mean, 36 years old.
Yes.
I feel like a fucking big ass kid. I play video games. I eat my kids' fruit snacks.
Yeah.
I eat fruits and vegetables whenever I want to.
It's
I'm a
nurturing
kid.
your inner child is what you're
Yeah,
doing. And all of the things that are going on right now with like human sex trafficking and all the child abuse and all this stuff, it is a outward manifestation of the collective abandoning their inner child. So as we all heal and nurture our inner child, because now we are our higher selves, we are to that child. So now we can be like, yo, like I got you. Like I know everything you've been through. I'm gonna nurture you. I'm gonna love you. I'm gonna let you put up the posters you wanted to put up, play the video games you wanted to play, all the things that you thought you couldn't express yourself. And as we heal within, it's going to manifest as it healing outwardly.
hey, I fucking had ice cream for breakfast one day. I promise you, it was the best shit ever. I was like, yo, fuck it. I'm in my stage of like eating unhealthy right now because that comes back around too. I was like, fuck it. I'm gonna eat ice cream for breakfast. Ate some ice cream for breakfast, had a root beer float with it. Yo, like I'm telling you, I just felt like I needed that because I was like, shit, me as a kid, I just wanted to experience this. And
Yeah,
why
and but
not?
you have discipline now because now I need to keep this vessel in good shape. But when I do that, I can have ice cream.
Fucking
You
right.
know what I'm saying? If I don't do psychedelics every day, I can do them every once in a while. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just
No.
that discipline, man.
No, that's for sure. What's your take on psychedelics? Like, I want to hear about your DMT experience before we go. I want to hear about it.
For sure. So, like, yeah, I didn't have a lot of experience with psychedelics throughout my whole life. Like, I'd done mushrooms a couple times here and there as a teenager, nothing crazy. Smoked weed my whole life. But then at the age of 33, I was just at a really low point. COVID happened. I lost my job. I was starting to lose a grip on reality. I was high on drugs. Everything was falling apart. And then a friend of mine who was working for me was like, I think you need a reset.
What type of
And he was
drugs were
like,
you on?
methamphetamine.
Oh shit, that's a
Yeah,
tough
yeah.
one.
Fucking 3 years of that shit, bro. And so he came over and he was like, we're gonna do this thing called DMT. And I was at such a low point that I was like, fuck it, whatever happens, happens. And so he came over and we vaporized it, and he was basically like, you're gonna count backwards from 10, and whatever happens, just let go. Now this is DMT 5-MeO, which is the venom of a toad.
Oh
It's not the
shit.
normal plant-based DMT that most people do. This is known as like the most powerful psychedelic known to man. I didn't know that at the time. And so he's like, I'm gonna count backwards from 10, and whatever happens, just let go. And I was like, all right, for sure. So I take this hit and I'm like 10, and then all of reality turns into black and white geometric shape and like implodes. And then I felt like a burn or like a zap through my brain, And then I had this internal feeling of like, oh, I just really fucked up, and like I did some crazy drug and I'm dying now, and like my body disappeared. Um, and it was like everything that I was being pulled from me, like a true ego death. I thought I was dying, and it was like Banks, my life, who I am, everything that I've worked toward, everything's falling apart. Whoa, 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 da, da, da. And then it was just totally ripped from me. And then I ended up in a place that people describe as the void, which is like complete emptiness. I didn't have a body. I did see my silver cord off in the distance, which is um, what people describe as like your umbilical cord linked to the physical realm.
Yeah.
So I did see my silver cord, and it was complete emptiness, complete bliss. I was everything and nothing. There was an empty bubble in my void, so complete vast emptiness with like a beautiful bright bubble, kind of empty bubble. And I've had a lot of time to think about this, and I do believe what that essentially was like I went back to the beginning almost. It was like the end was the beginning for me, and it was showing me like this is you. And I remember thinking this is so cute, this little perfect little bubble, and it was just like so peaceful. And like I think that what it was showing me is like this is you. We're starting over. You're a pure empty bubble of potential, like whatever you want. And also in that place, it's like you know everything because you are everything, but you also don't even need to know the answers because you are the answer in a way. So then when I came back from that experience, it was like I had so much information, but I didn't know how to express it in any way. So that began my journey of getting back into music and meditating and trying to figure out more about astrology and tarot cards and other things just to try to put together, get out what was inside of me now, essentially.
Yeah, that's crazy. What it sounds like is you were in a sense reborn again, and what that bubble, the umbilical cord in the bubble of what's that shit that babies are inside of the what's
The
that?
amniotic sac, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it kind of sounded like in that sack, which you grew within was that
Yeah,
bubble, and then you said you were reborn as a baby, right? Reborn as a baby, super cute and cuddly, right?
yeah,
And then you couldn't explain all the information that you had downloaded like a baby, right? If
yeah,
we're
yeah,
they know so much, but yet they cannot say it and speak it to us, and then
yeah,
they have to pretty much grow in a sense. So what it sounds like is you died and were reborn again as who you are now, and
yeah.
now you have brought this knowledge of understanding the world and searching for information, which is, bro, that's just cool. How did you so you work with like tarot cards? What else do you do now, like far as like on the spiritual side of things?
Yeah, I'm really into numerology. Numbers speak to me, and like I still do tarot, but that's kind of very basic of what I do for like my mystic guidance stuff. Um, I'm more interested in helping people kind of heal and create their future than telling them what their future is. Especially because it's fluid. It's never locked. But what I really gained through tarot was understanding things like symbolism and colors and numbers and animals and elements and things like this. And it made me realize that this is like legit. This is really real, and that I can interpret the world like a tarot card. So, like, what I really do in my mystic guidance and my mystic therapy, most people come to me because they can't talk to people about the crazy stuff that they're experiencing, and they want a place where they can fully be themselves, and I provide that for them. But my one of my gifts is I can see all the patterns in someone's life, and it's sometimes hard to tell when we're repeating the same lessons because they're packaged differently. And so I have the ability to really see how it's all the same thing being told to you in different perspectives. And often things will happen with me when I'm doing therapy with people where like they'll be on the phone with me, and then like a bird will fly into their window, or like their dog will come in and like throw up a grasshopper. And I know how to like interpret those kind of strange, it's almost like a dream. Like this reality is another level of the dream. So I do like dream interpretations for reality type of a thing.
That's dope. You definitely got to give me a reading. That's yeah,
Oh
that's
yeah.
that's fire, bro. I think it's cool when we can tap into these gifts, and I think that what I enjoy the most about having gifts is that when the world tells me like, oh, hey bro, like astral projection is not real, or you quantum leaping and becoming a new version of yourself and picking your avatar, it's not real. And I'm just like, hey, bullshit, bro. I didn't save my family from a fucking car accident from my premonition. I don't know
Yeah,
what you talking about. I had the same dream for fucking 2 months, and it
yeah.
literally taught me on how to save my family in a car accident and stop my son from fucking flying out the window, because this is what happened in the dream. And so therefore when I hear the world is like, who's constantly that Agent Smith shit, like, oh, bro, this isn't real, or this isn't real, I'm just like, fucking hey, to you it may not be, but buddy,
I
there's
don't
shit
care at this
happening.
point if I'm delusional. I fucking love it. This is the journey of journeys, man. Remembering, huh, remembering that you are the most powerful thing in all of existence, and you could have been anything, and you have been, but yet you decided to incarnate as you. Must be pretty fucking special, and that goes for everyone and everything. You could have been anything. You decided to be you.
You could have been a
Why?
snail.
And that's what we're
Yeah,
here to answer.
that's a dope way to put it. I wanna stop right there. I definitely enjoyed this conversation. I definitely enjoyed getting to know you, and I would love to do this again, because I feel like um, there's a lot of teachings in which we can help people with understand, basically from our own experience through our conversations. So I definitely want to do this again.
No
And
doubt.
before I let you go, I always ask my guests for two things. One is a book reference, and two is a powerful quote people can apply to their lives.
Yeah, so the book reference, I definitely like the Joe Dispenza book we just talked about, Becoming Supernatural. Really good book for linking science with mysticism. And kind of, it's a good introductory book for people who are like, I don't really know what's happening. It's a good way to kind of put it in a nice system for you to understand. And I have a personal quote of mine that I like, which is, people are peepholes, different perspective for the universe or the divine to experience itself through.
It's fire. I'll leave them with that. If you guys enjoyed this powerful episode, make sure that you share it with your friends, family. Make sure that you check out all of Banks' links, all his songs. Make sure that you tap in with him. And until next time, peace, love, and light. Big swim.